Welcome. This is going to constitute the first of a series of half-hour sessions. All the movements are going to be based in Taichi traditions. My teacher, her name is Cheng Ai-ping. She came over from China to the States, and she was particularly experienced. She's still practicing, still teaching in Chen style Taichi, a few other styles as well. So that's my background. But basically, for these next few sessions, these are going to be some intros to the foundational ideas, how to get rooted, how to have the body move coordinated, and how to have your breath harmonize with the movement itself. So we'll just get into it with some basic warm-up. And again, today's session is going to be mostly grounding. I would advise you take a moment, even before you start, to just do any particular stretches that are helpful to you before you do a session. I'll go over a few of them, but always it's up to you to approach the movement in a way that makes sense. If any movement doesn't feel comfortable at all, then feel free to revise it to fit your needs. And the final thing I'll say is kind of give you a sense of what we'll be working up to in these few sessions. The first few, we're going to cover some of the basic Tai Chi, like basically recognizable Tai Chi hand movements, such as holding the ball, striking. We have brushing the knee, stepping forward, brushing the knee, pushing back and stepping back. Just give you a kind of basic vocabulary of movements that you can then take with you to whatever your practice is, whether it's a Tai Chi-based practice or not. Some other movements as well, cloud hand, stepping to the side. But in all these movements, though we're going to focus on the hands, the coordination, eventually we're going to cover all the details of the hands. The movements begin from the ground up. Your focus, your intention always begins from the ground. Like if you were going to come here, do a strong movement, it's never just a hand movement. It's always from the ground up. So this is kind of teaching us how to get grounded in this first session, get our breath grounded, get our legs, our posture, our structure very grounded. So from that point, we can expand from the ground up. If you were going to be doing like a grappling movement, you want to have all your body, your feet, your soles of your feet gripping the ground, and from there you can then expand it to whatever movement. Even if it's just, it's kind of like kickboxing, punching, you're still going to want to be grounded while you do that. So it's never just a hand movement, it's a whole body movement from the ground up, pushing. So with that said, we'll get straight into it, do some warm-ups for the shoulders, a little bit of warm-up for the hips, and then getting grounded in this session. So we'll start here. Just do a few rotations, and I like to count in a series of 8, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you can reverse it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. From here, I like to open up the chest by taking the elbow and sort of striking back, like you're trying to knock something off of a shelf behind you. So twisting to one way, twisting to the other way. So you're focusing on this elbow moving back, but you're also focusing on opening up the chest, opening up all the muscles, all the ligaments, stretch everything out as fully as you can. Same time, you're trying to, as I said, focus on getting a little bit grounded, having the feet really engage and send an impulse from the ground up. The feet move the hips move the shoulder moves the elbow. That's kind of the order we're going in with this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can always modify, twist a little bit more. If that helps you, you can try and get more than 180. Twist a little further. Or you can do a smaller movement, whatever fits your body in the moment. But just really try and get this sense of coordinating from the ground up. And then we can extend that into just tossing the arms. Again, the impulse coming from the ground up. We're not just flinging the arms from the shoulders. We're flinging the arms from the waist and from the ground. So the movement starts down here. It starts moving your hips. The hips carry the shoulders. Shoulders carry the arms. And this is just a nice way to get all the blood flowing, get the muscles warmed up, get your ligaments loose, and also coordinate, as I said, this ground up feeling. Good, a couple more of these. Nice. Take a moment, catch your breath, and we'll continue onward. Do a few stretches. Open up the upper body a little bit, get everything flowing. Push your hands up, the whole time staying grounded. You can either lock your legs if that's comfortable for you, or just have them a little bit bent, but keep them grounded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Leaning over to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Really opening up everything here. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Other side, same thing. Pushing the hip to elongate everything, stretch everything to whatever point you're comfortable. If that just looks like this a little bit, that's fine. If you want to really go all the way, that's fine as well. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pushing to the front, hands in the front, and the hips push back to balance yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then reverse it. Hands to the back, hips pushing to the front, and try and look back, look up, and ideally even look back a little bit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Finally, just let everything fall down to the middle. Our last little stretch for the moment, keeping the feet gripping the ground the whole time, trying to get this sense of being rooted. And then allow the hands to fall to the center. Let the head fall, each vertebrae at a time. Just stretch out to whatever degree is comfortable to you. And explore this just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. So we got things flowing a little bit, and now it's time to get into the actual, substance of the lesson, which is going to be carried on to all the lessons from here, which is getting rooted, getting grounded, having a firm structure, at the same time being open, being receptive. So when I say firm, I don't mean tensing up all the muscles, because the more tense you are, like, okay, you have a strong structure here, but you can't respond. So we're trying to find a balance where you have your skeletal structure, you have some integrity to it, so that if you were to engage with someone try and push you, you're still stable, but you're also open enough that you can respond in a way that makes sense. So we'll start by focusing a little bit on the basic posture of the spine, imagining the tip of the head, the crown of the head, being pulled up, elevated here, almost like you're hanging from a string at the top of your head. Same time as the crown of the head is kind of intention, the intention there is to go straight up. The intention of your tailbone is to pull straight down and even tuck under just a little bit. So rather than just relaxing the core, we're going to try and tuck the tailbone under just a little bit. Not so much that we get here like clenched and tight and tension, but you want to engage the core just a little bit by, again, tucking the tailbone under. Doesn't have to be anything too much, but just a little bit. And this, the application, like if you were actually to, engage, boxing, sparring, you don't want to have your insides all exposed in this way. Focusing on this tucking of the tailbone is going to help protect everything, bring everything in. It's also going to just give you a structure that's useful for all these movements we're going to be doing. So tailbone's tucked under. Tip of the head is pulled straight up, so not pushing your head out in front, not leaning it back, but trying to picture it's being held up right above you. Crown of the head straight up, tailbone straight down underneath, and then bending the knees. They don't have to be too much clenched, but you also don't want to be standing here with the legs locked where you're not engaged at all. So just a little bit of bend in the knees. Hold yourself up, tailbone under, and we just get settled here for a bit. Try and relax. See how your breath feels in this posture that may be new to you or may be familiar based on whatever movements, whatever experience you've had up to now. Just experience this for a moment. See how your spine feels settled in this way. Because oftentimes we're taught chest out, which can be useful, sometimes have chest out, but right now we're going to let the chest kind of sink back and the tailbone sink under and let everything get settled in this way. Now we're going to focus on the weight on the two legs. My teacher always describes this when she's introducing it as though each foot, each leg is a pail of water. And if you were to have, say, 50% weight on each leg, it's like the two pails have half the water, 50% water here, half the water in here. And from this point, I'm using my hands just as a visual aid. You can do whatever you like with your hands over here. But you picture pouring the water all the way into here. So I'm pouring the water onto my right leg here until you have 100% all the water in this pail. And then your other leg is free, meaning if you wanted to, you could lift it off the ground. And then little by little, pour the water back into the other pail. Gradually put all your weight, ounce by ounce, pound by pound, until all your weight, all the water's on this pail, all the weight is on this leg. And that means if you wanted to, you could lift up the leg just to test, just to make sure you got all the weight there. So we try that a few times, seeing what it feels like to have maybe 5% weight on this foot, 10% weight, 20%, 30, 40, 50. Keep on going, little by little. And then once you're confident that you have all the weight on this leg, just to demonstrate that, try and allow the other leg to get loose from the ground. And then slowly put the toe back on there and very gently pass the weight. Use this as an opportunity to explore what it feels like to have, to toss the weight. Be as conscious as you can of every part of your foot, the sole, the toe, every part of it, and see how it feels when you first grip, when you first place the toe on the ground, see how that feels. And then do you tend to go to the outside of your foot or the inside of your foot? Explore what your body's tendencies are as you pass this weight across. Good, and relaxing. The whole time as we're doing that, you keep going with that. I'm going to turn to the profile so you can see. Whole time as we're passing the weight left to right, still trying to maintain keeping the tailbone under, chest relaxed, head suspended. So even as I'm passing the weight, going from one side to the other, I'm maintaining this general structure, this stomach engaged, core engaged, head almost being held up by a string. Good, and then relax for a little bit. I can't overstate the importance of that one exercise. If you just do that for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, it will completely change your relationship to your body. Because all the time, even just walking, we're practicing passing the weight from one foot to the other. And you can either do it unconsciously, how we tend to do it, or doing this exercise just teaches you to pay a little more attention. Like, am I putting too much weight to the point where I'm causing damage? Or maybe is the way I'm walking, does it show me that I'm carrying more tension than I need to? Just doing this, passing the weight back and forth, will prime you to pay a little more attention to the subtle nuances, how we hold our weight, how we pass the weight. The next exercise from there, just to take it one step further, is to pour all the weight onto one of your legs. So I have all my weight on this leg. That means this is the free one. And then try and lift up. Let the knee just rise to whatever point is comfortable. And I don't have my other leg locked. I have it bent. And I'm just kind of sitting on my other leg. My free leg is rising. And then when I'm ready, I place it down real gentle. And then gradually make contact with the ground. Pass the weight onto this. This is now my supporting leg, my main leg. And then my free leg, rise up. Just to whatever height is comfortable to you. If you want, you try and get the knee up to the chest, but whatever's comfortable. Little by little, place that free leg down. Start to transition the weight. Pour the water into this pail until it has all its weight. And then when I coordinate the breath, I like to inhale as I rise up so that my movement is dictated by the rhythm of my breath. When I've had enough air, I'm ready to let it out. I exhale, lower myself. We'll do maybe 3 more of these, and we'll move on. Pour all the weight onto this foot now, and then rise up. Inhale. Let everything come up until you're ready to let it all sink down. And you don't have to think of it as like a balancing exercise. It shouldn't be a challenge. It shouldn't be something that you're fighting against your body. You're just exploring, giving your body a chance to see what it feels like to have your whole body settled on one leg, and at the same time allowing the free leg to rise, inhaling. And after this, we'll do one more, exhaling, and really gently placing just the toe first, then gradually the whole foot, and gradually, little by little, more of your weight, moving your core until it's settled entirely on this foot. And you could just be comfortable here. Once you're comfortable on it, inhale and let the free leg rise up. And then we settle. So again, this is a movement, an exercise, very simple, but if you do it a little bit each day, you'll see results very quickly start to compound themselves in ways you maybe didn't even expect. Because no matter what you do, even if you're sitting down, you're still shifting weight. And it's just a question of whether you're going to be doing that unconsciously, as we tend to do throughout the day. You're busy doing all kinds of other things, or you can be a little more conscious and then find a way to do things harmoniously. So it's not that you have to do any major lifestyle change, but just being aware of your body from moment to moment will then kind of cascade to a lot of other parts of your life, at least in my experience and in experience of a lot of students who these movements have helped. The next element here is just going to be some basic breathing. So we're going to have the knees bent, same old structure. I'm going to keep coming back to the same structure. Tailbone tucked under, chest relaxed, shoulders relaxed, letting gravity take the shoulders. Any tension that you were maintaining in your face, as we go through the day, we have all kinds of emotions tend to be stuck. They get stuck in our facial muscles, in our shoulders especially. Wherever you find you're holding a lot of tension, when you're doing this movement, allow that tension to just drop. Allow gravity to take that from your shoulder. Take it from your elbow. If you're feeling a lot of tension in your hip and you've been a little bit tense, allow that to sink out. Yeah. And especially with each exhale. Breathing in, and then on the exhale, let everything sink. Anything you're holding on to that doesn't serve you in the moment. You can inhale what's going to help you. Like some people like to visualize. Inhaling bright light, inhaling warmth, inhaling vitality, energy, focus. And then exhaling what you don't need to hold on to. Exhaling concern, exhaling self-doubt, excessive self-criticism. Some people like to really picture, on the inhale, you can have a manifestation. Inhaling happiness in my encounters with my family, or then exhaling whatever you don't need. Some people don't like to have as many words with it, so then in that case, just inhale and rise up. Exhale, sink down. You can fit the meditation to whatever's most useful. Some people are more kinesthetic. Some people prefer to have a vision while they're doing it, a vision held in their mind. But either way, all we're doing here is just inhaling and lifting the body up, getting kind of light on the inhale, as though you're filling with helium, getting lighter than air, and then on each exhale, sinking down, getting rooted. So for me, I picture on my inhale a string that's at the crown of my head lifting me up. It's also lifting up my hands, lifting up my torso, lifting up everything. And when I exhale, I'm letting that string relax. So the whole structure sinks down, gets rooted. On the inhale, I'm kind of engaging with the air above me. I'm engaging with this sense of being light. And on my exhale, I'm engaging very thoroughly with the ground underneath me, really picturing. Some people even picture roots going through their feet to just get very stable. And you can keep going with that as I demonstrate a little bit. Being able to distinguish between those two feelings, the feeling of lightness and the feeling of heaviness, is going to be very useful for movements later on. Like if you get to some fancy movements, sometimes you want to be like, pop, whoa, very like light on it. You come out here, blah, twist. Sometimes you want to have that light feeling. Other times, it's very important to get this heavy, stable feeling. And so you want to be able to adjust to sometimes be up, sometimes be receptive, sometimes be soft, and then other times be heavy, stable, where you couldn't be pushed if someone tried to. Sometimes you want to look like you're about to be very heavy, and someone comes to push you, and then you're very light, and you can let them fall. You just want to be conscious, be deliberate in all your movements. So sometimes you want to have this light feeling, like we do on our inhale. Other times you want to have this very secure, heavy feeling. So shake that out for a little bit. We're almost at the 20-minute mark. I'm trying to keep these all to about 10 minutes. So I'll see how much more we can cover in this first intro section. But key points just to keep revisiting. Tailbone tucked under, which is going to facilitate this engagement of the core. So the tailbone's under, crown is pulled up, shoulders sink down, knees are bent, and whatever you do at each movement, at each moment, just trying to be conscious of where your weight is. Maybe you're going to toss the weight a little bit. Toss it onto one leg, toss it onto the other. You don't have to keep it at 50-50. You can, if this helps you with your breathing, to keep it 50-50, then do that. But some people like to maybe open it up a little bit, turn the waist a little bit. We'll get into in a moment to a stance called tree standing, where you just hold this tree pose, and some people hold it very steady and like to feel stable in this structure. Other people allow the body to move like a tree, like a willow with the wind sending it in different directions, sometimes pushing forward a bit, sometimes pulling back. So just use this as a chance to explore your structure and be conscious of it in a way that we don't tend to throughout the day. Next movement, back into the same breathing. Get settled here, knees bent, tailbone under. We'll do a few like we've just done. Inhaling and lifting up the palms, exhaling and sinking down. And now's a good point to mention about a Tai Chi palm. These movements, even though they're for meditation, they're for health, they're also martial arts. They're also meant to allow you to engage. If not with a, if you're not into sparring, you don't have to visualize it as engaging with another, a partner. But you just think of it as engaging with the physical world around you. So if I want to move something, pick something up, if a bookshelf is about to fall and I want to engage with it, I don't want to just have my hands limp. So a lot of martial arts, you'll have maybe tension, like a strong palm, strong fist, strong claw. With these Tai Chi movements, you're not exactly going to have a clenched hand to the point that it's shaking, but you're also not going to have just limp to the point where it's disengaged. So I like to think of the hand, the arm, as like a hose, like a fire hose. So it's not that we're going to have it on full blast where we're shaking with it, we're really clenching, because then we're not receptive. You're not receptive. The more muscle tension you have, the less receptive you are. So you're not going to be full blast, but you're also not going to be, just a trickle of water. You want to find a happy medium between those two where you start to fill up the hand. The fingers, feel your intention, feel your focus in each of these 4 fingers. Feel it in your thumb, feel it in your whole palm. So your palms will be engaged, not clenched, but not limp either for all these movements. That's just a little side note as we continue through this. So we're lifting up, engaging the palms, but letting the shoulders relax, letting the elbows relax, and letting everything rise and fall, following your breath. If you just come from a rigorous workout, then your breath is going to be a little faster, meaning that this movement's going to go a little faster. If I'm breathing heavy, I follow my breath. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to follow any arbitrary, count. Just follow your breath. When your body tells you it's ready to inhale, lift everything up, rise up. When you've had enough of that air, you're ready to release it, let everything settle. You're just listening to the breath, feeling the breath, following it. So while we have this up and down hand movement, we can do this kind of subtle movement. We could also do a much larger pathway. The specific pathway that your hands take isn't so important as just having that rising and falling feeling. So some people on the inhale like to go all the way around their body. Gather everything up on the inhale, and then on the exhale, really press down. Maybe you want to disengage the hands from each other, focus on just one hand, that's fine. Just have that rising, and when you exhale, have that falling. And I know I said relax the shoulder, relax the elbow, but maybe you want to explore what it's like to lift up the elbow, just as long as you're rising on this inhale, and then exhaling. Maybe you're twisting the hands. Now's a chance to just kind of freestyle the movement, but maintaining that rising on the inhale, sinking on the exhale. The same way that we're now freeing up the palms, you could free up the legs. Maybe you want to lift one leg completely on the inhale, step back, settle it down. Maybe you want to step forward a little bit while you inhale. Just do whatever feels nice, whatever feels right, as long as you're maintaining that rising and falling sensation. You can kind of free up yourself. Or maybe you like more structure, and then you can keep to this simple stance. We're going to have the hands rising on the inhale, shoulders sinking down, elbows sinking down, wrists sinking down on the exhale. So whatever pathway works for you, just explore this rising and sinking, following the breath, maintaining the structure of the spine, tailbone tucked under, crown of the head pulled up, palms slightly engaged, not too tense to the point that they're shaking, but also not too limp, engaging the hands and moving. And then finally going into this tree pose that I was talking about earlier. We lift up the palms to about shoulder height, turn the palms inward toward us. Left palm toward the left pec, right palm toward the right pec. And you have a nice round structure, so the hands are not too far out, not too closed in to the point where you couldn't really do anything with them. Too far out, you also couldn't do too much. This is a point where if you were to engage with someone or something, this is a structure where you could extend if you need to, pull back if you need to. This is why we keep the hands here in this tree pose. Left palm to left pec, right palm to right pec, shoulders down and relax, elbows down and relax, and just settled. After doing all that rising and falling, it might have stirred up some things, maybe stirred up some emotions, maybe stirred up some pains that you were holding, some tensions you were holding in your body, maybe stirred up some images in your mind, maybe stirred up anything, memories, anything. So now's a chance to just settle. Allow your body to hang on that thread from the crown of the head. Allow your knees to get comfortable, your tailbone to tuck under, and just see what your body feels like once you give it this chance to rest. Still doing this constant body scan, continuous moment-to-moment body scan. we're not really learning any specific movements in this first session, but we're trying to kind of reevaluate how we relate to our own body, and basically just trying to be more attentive. So if you're holding your hand a certain way, why are you holding it that way? What is it comfortable? Is it uncomfortable? Um, is there a slight adjustment you can do? Take this moment to explore. And then we can start to free it up a little bit. If you have a little movement you want to let out, you can start to pass the weight, as I said, from one leg to another. And eventually settle the palms on the dantian, which is the center of the body. It's about 2 fingers below the navel, and just allow everything to calm down at this point. So we'll relax there. The last thing to end this session is going to introduce the turning of the waist. Sorry, we have about 5 minutes left. So we're going to turn the waist side to side, which is going to be a good segue into the next session, which is going to cover holding the ball, our first proper Tai Chi movement, where we turn to one side, form the ball, strike to the front, turn to the other side, hold the ball, strike to the front. And there's a breath that goes with that, which is inhaling as you hold the ball, because that's going to be like pulling back the string of an arrow, like getting ready, and then exhaling when you strike. Inhaling when you hold the ball, exhale when you strike. I'm going to walk through all these movements in the next session. And with that exhaling, you in general, a rule of thumb is that whenever you're exerting yourself, that's when you exhale. Whether you're blocking something, you exhale. Whether you're grabbing something, whenever you're exerting yourself, you're going to exhale. So that's why in this movement we have inhaling here, exhaling here. And practicing all these movements very slowly, but in real time you would do it as fast as you need to for whatever the situation is. So to transition into that, which is going to be the next session, holding the ball movement, we're going to just work on this basic turning of the waist. Turning the waist 45 degrees one direction, and then allowing it to swing to the center, and then allowing it to swing 45 degrees to the other direction, and then finally to the center. So we have this 4-part movement if you're going to break it down with a metronome, with a rhythm. 1 to one corner, letting your body swing. Second count is when you pass the middle. Third count would be when you go to the next corner. Fourth count when you pass the middle again. So as we're doing that, maintaining the same structure that we've been talking about this entire session. Tailbone under, head held up by the crown, and it's almost as though you're just hanging, like a marionette hanging from this invisible string at the crown of the head. And I'm letting my body swing like a pendulum to one side. Doesn't have to go twisted too far. No, this is not a helpful structure to you. Just twist a little bit, 45. And then gradually swing till you're squared off, facing the front. And then keep swinging, 45. Again, not twisting too far, not twisting a whole 90 degrees like this, but just 45. Relax. Come back. Now face the front so we could do it together. And then we'll just cool down, finish up from here. Getting settled. Come a little closer so you can see. Feet settled on the ground, tailbone tucked under. Good. And then just rotating, turning to one corner, having the center of your body, center of your chest, center, of your torso, everything directed 45 degrees here toward the corner. And then gradually letting that center line come face the front. But you don't actually have to stop here. You keep turning till your center line is facing 45 the other way, and then just come back. And just allow your breath to do whatever it needs to. The focus here is on the hips swinging as smoothly, as gently as possible. And we start all these movements slow so that you can see what your body feels like at each point. We could just do the movement quickly, but then you might miss some idiosyncrasy of your body. So better to start very slow and just see how you feel at each point along this pathway. As I say, the hips are the focus here. The hips are what's guiding the thing, and the hips are what's going to be guiding the movement. Whatever movement we do, it's always going to be these hips guiding it. The hips are the focus here, but obviously the feet have to serve the hips. Some people, for me right now, I'm practicing keeping the toes face forward, demonstrating how my toes are facing to the front, and I'm almost gripping the ground as I turn my 45 degrees. For others, depending on how your ankle flexibility is, how your ankle strength is, maybe that's not going to serve you very well. So some people, it might be better to rotate the feet. Maybe you're at a point where you're trying to rotate on your heel as you turn. That could be maybe for you. Could be that you're rotating on your toes. Maybe you're rotating both feet. So I'm not too specific. I'm not too concerned with what the feet are doing. Maybe you have to even like take a step. It might distract you taking a step, but just do whatever you need to. Allow your feet to do whatever they need to facilitate. Your feet are in the service of your hips. What's important right here is the hips turning. So if that means having to move your body a little bit, move your feet, slide your feet, that's fine. Whatever you have to do just to allow that smooth motion. 45 degrees here, keeping the tailbone always tucked under, letting the body hang from the crown, 45 degrees here. Just do a few more. And eventually, even though we're not doing the complete hand movement, you can start to incorporate the hands by just turning and letting your body, the impulse comes up from your feet, up through your knee. The knee turns then the hip then turns the shoulder then turns the elbow then turns the wrist, like you're going through water. So your hands don't have to have any specific structure, but try and allow them to flow and follow the hip. So first I'm 45 degrees here, then I unwind. I turn 45 degrees here, relax, and unwind. And you can also play a little bit with tossing the weight. Maybe when I turn here, I want to have the weight on my back leg. Maybe I come here and now I want the weight to stay there. Or maybe I want to shift it here. You can play with the weight. Send your weight onto whichever leg feels like it wants to take it, but just maintain this constant twisting. 45 degrees here, 45 degrees here, and then letting the hands free up to do whatever feels nice, whatever feels right to them. And then breathing a little bit. And I like to end each session with just a little bit of freestyle moving, just following the breath. On each inhale, maybe you want to lift up the elbow on this inhale. Maybe you want to press down on this exhale. Maybe I want to step back on this inhale. Maybe I want to step to the side on this exhale. Just inhale and exhale for about half a minute or so, and let your body respond to that inhale. Maybe you want to lift up all your hands. Maybe I want to keep lifting up on my exhale, break from the pattern. Feel free to do whatever your body likes, whatever your body wants to explore this space, but just be conscious of when am I filling up with air? When have I had enough air? When am I releasing the air? And how does that feel at each part of my body? It's very plain to see how your breath feels in your chest when you fill up. It's pretty, we're comfortable, we're primed to pay attention to how the chest feels as you inhale. It's also pretty comfortable recognizing what's happening in your gut. But see what's happening in your elbow as you inhale. See what's happening in your ankle as you inhale. See how your neck sensations change as you exhale. See if you can use the breath as a springboard into just paying attention to every other part of the body, not just the torso, not just the lungs. Because obviously your breath is going to have an impact on your lungs, or vice versa, however you want to describe that. But the whole body, no part of the body moves without any other part. And these movements are just meant to be an intro into not just knowing that, but really experiencing that. So whatever movement you do, it's never just a hand movement, it's never just a foot movement, it's always a whole body movement, coordinated as one piece. And that's where we'll leave off for today. Hopefully that's been helpful as an intro to these sessions. As I say, the next session is going to be holding the ball, and we have a few other hand movements. We'll do also a few stepping movements. Eventually we'll have forward stepping, we'll have backward stepping, side to side stepping, and once we have those basic structures, then you can just freestyle it and start to add whatever stepping, whatever hand movement makes sense to you. Just kind of build up the building blocks step by step, and that all starts with getting grounded and getting conscious of your breath. So hopefully that's been helpful, and I'll see you on the next session. Peace.